Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell having a creative hair day today after my run, thus the hat. And I'm wearing it this way because I never wear hats this way, always this way. And so only wearing it this way to have a little visual display for you. Yeah, see that? 8/21/2017. Wasn't that a great year? And so, an update for the case. Tomorrow is the expected day when Judge First will make a decision on my case, whether to proceed. And I'll be paying attention online for her decision through Pacer. Pace monitor, whatever it's called, and hopefully I'll get to proceed. Now, if you spent the money on Pacer to download the files, you will have read that I intend to motion for the press to make this public, nation press, not the local press, as a protection for me. But that's not the surprise I have waiting for the church. I have another big surprise to drop, and it'll be a doozy. So you will want to pay attention to this case. Unfortunately, it's expected Trump's going to abandon his post before Wednesday's House vote, because it's clear he's going to get impeached. He's going to be impeached in his first term. No president has been impeached in their first term. The other two, Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, both got impeached in their second term. And so, if you're unfamiliar, Nixon resigned during this time period with Trump's case. After the judiciary had voted to impeach, went to the House still had a few more days to hold their vote, and Nixon resigned because the courts agreed to release the tapes. And the tapes sunk Nixon. And so here, it's different because the tapes are constantly playing in the public. They're not private tapes. Trump's rallies, Trump's Twitters, all of his chopper talks, and the transcript about his Ukrainian phone call, all are indictments of Trump. Every word that comes out of his mouth is a criminal indicting. And so, Trump's going to go down in flames. It's concerning as to Mitch McConnell threatening to commit crime to protect Trump. But I don't know if we're going to get that far in the first place. I'm pretty sure Trump's a coward and will flee the country, because that's what he is. He can't win in the court, and so he'll abandon his post. He's always won in court, even to the point of having to pay a fine, which he then never pays, and then violates the court order to pay the fines. And so he's always gotten away with it because of his privilege status. And so, if he abandons his post, there will be a delay with confusion before Pence gets put in. But then Pence is also involved in this whole Ukrainian scandal and may have to resign himself, which means Nancy Pelosi will get put in, which means the Republicans are going to throw a fit. They're going to be outraged, and we're going to have some chaos as debates ensue as to who's supposed to lead the country until the 2020 election. So that may throw a little stink bomb in my lawsuit against the church. So we'll have to see what happens this week. Because I really want to go to court against the church. This is going to be fun. And so, yeah, like I said on my other channel, on the other video on that channel, the gloves are off. I was serious about that. They crossed the line. See, in 2008, I submitted a petition for redress of grievances, which they retaliated by disappearing me from society for 6 years of my life. What had happened before was that I was in the federal courts trying to get my children back because the state was refusing to assist me. The church was refusing to assist me as they were assisting their mother and not me. And so yes, the lawsuit back in the 2000s also included the church. Now, Judge Kimball was the judge overseeing my case, and I put in a motion for him to recuse himself because of his conflict of interest with the church. He replied by saying, "I've judged many cases where the church has been a defendant." Yeah, you're supposed to recuse yourself. There are rules for judges, and you can't have a judge who has a vested interest in the outcome of a case. And thus, Judge Kimball violated his office in not recusing himself. And so he decided, "Travis, you're not able to proceed in this case, and you will not proceed in any other case related." Oh, you're denying me my First Amendment right? Yep. And so you'd think that was the end of it. No, because the church was involved, the church would not let it go. My losing was not enough for them. Now they had to apply retaliatory punishment for me. And they sent Shurtleff to come get me. And Shurtleff held a hearing in the state court with Commissioner Michelle Bloomquist, Mormon, single Mormon actually. She was in the older singles ward that I was in. Thus also a conflict of interest of which she must recuse herself from, not just by being a Mormon, but by being a single Mormon who knows me in my case. So Shurtleff should have asked for her recusal. He had a more powerful hold over her than I did. We never dated. And so Michelle sided with Shurtleff to enforce the punishment that Shurtleff wanted to add to my loss in the federal courts. But that's not all. Shurtleff kept coming after me. He went to the state legislature to have them sign off on a law that those not paying custodial child support, which was the problem that I was having, because my children were taken from me and their mother got a divorce in Canada without my presence, I got screwed in Utah. And over 50% was garnished. I was instantly rendered homeless and forced to live with my parents, who aided and abetted in the kidnapping of my kids. Do you see the stress I was under? And so Shurtleff wanted to now take away my driver's license. and they've renewed that law this year in May. RN 10 whatever the number is, and so I was again feeling the pressure, as my job at that time was a cash only situation as a contractor for the Postal Service. I was a federal officer, but contracted, and there was Shurtleff trying to impede my work as a federal officer. And all of this is laid out in the lawsuit. And of course, Shurtleff is Mormon, remember? He's the one that gives loyalty oaths and pays money to the church as part of their monthly dues. Extortion money that crime organizations require of businesses in order for protection. That's protectionism money. And so with that, I had been writing a book, which I had titled Modern American Utopia, and didn't have an idea of how to get it published. Barnes & Noble back then was trying to figure out a way to have $1,000 rather than $2,000 to publish books, but I still knew that I wasn't going to be able to get that much even. And then their idea failed, and then they succeeded again later on with publication services, and I don't think they're doing that anymore. I definitely haven't gotten royalties from the books that I did get cleared through them. Their system was a little difficult to work with, and I couldn't do both them and Amazon, except for their version of Kindle. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, it's been a long time since I've gotten royalties from them, so I don't think they're in business anymore. I don't even know if they're in business at all with stores. I haven't bothered to check. Yeah, so that case back in 2008 and what led to it is still following me today, as my local mayor, Ron Bigelow, West Valley City, has implemented punishments against me, as I petitioned to him and to the police department of West Valley City and to the internal affairs of West Valley City, because the police were coming and turning against me as well under orders of the mayor of West Valley City. And so this is all part and parcel of the continued retaliation by the church. I don't think I have the picture anymore. Yeah, I transferred it to another file. All right. But the criminal organization structure, the people at the bottom, those who are, it's not assistants. See, now I'm stuck. I can't remember what it's called. Let me pause, see if I can find the picture again on the internet. All right, I found one. It's got the different name titles than the one that I was going off of before in my other videos, and so I think I should go off of these names, because this more closely fits with the church. So I'm just saving myself a picture here. Okay. All right. The American Mafia Family Network has exposed itself through the courts. The Al Capone and others who have gone down for tax evasion, and thus the RICO was created in response to mafia organizations. And so yes, the Mormon Church is a mafia crime organization. And so you have the boss at the top, that's the CEO of the company, and then you have counselors Consigliaries is the other term that they used. That's the Italian name of it. But here they just call it counselor. And so, how many counselors does the Mormon CEO have? He has 2 Dos Equis. And then you have an underboss. Who's the underboss? It's the president of the Quorum of 12. That's the change that Brigham Young made. In case you didn't know, Mormons, Joseph Smith did not have this structure. This was not the structure for succession of the church. Yes, section 107, I believe 22. I'm not going to look it up for you right now. I've done it. It's in there. Read it, because many of you have been wondering, why are we voting when we're not actually voting? That's the reason why, is because Brigham Young altered the process of what Joseph Smith said was supposed to be done. And so Brigham Young is the one who established the first criminal organization in America. Yay! The Mormon Church contributed to American history. And so the 12 apostles, thus the 11 remaining, are the lieutenants, as they call them here. They had a different Italian name in the other picture, so lieutenant is much better. And then soldiers, still the same. Those are the 70, the general 70 now. Used to be the 70 presidency over the first quorum and the second quorum, and then the other quorums were not really a part of the administration. They were just assistants in the 70, and now they've combined the first and second quorums together as one general 70. And so they are the soldiers. And then associates. That's the word for lawyers, government officials, business CEOs, everybody who covers up the crimes and assists and defends the organization are the associates. So the cops who get paid off, who are loyalists, the judges who are bribed, the businesses who are forced to pay protection money, and everybody in the church is forced to pay protection money. They call it fire insurance. Remember Mormons? Tithing. Yeah, protection money. That's a criminal enterprise. And the church is going down in flames. I told you, the gloves were off. I know the organization of the church. Born and raised Mormon almost 50 years now. I know everything. I know all their crimes. I didn't say anything, I didn't do anything, because I was pursuing languages, ancient languages of Egyptian and Paleo-Hebrew. That's where my focus was. I wasn't in on church history, because if the church is the true church of God, it's going to prove itself with one of these aspects. And I pursued language and was finding out, hey, Joseph Smith was right. But then I went to history and went, wait a minute, Joseph Smith was murdered by Brigham Young under his orders. And Brigham Young is not the guy we're all thinking he is. And that's the case closed. So, it's okay to have a different religion than Christianity. That's what Christians don't get, is they attack Joseph Smith for his multiple gods and his doctrines that were contrary to Christianity. But you can't attack a religion based on their religion. You have to go after people's crimes. Now, you can debate religion, but it's pretty much useless, because it's difficult to establish truth when you're talking about the nature and character of God, when God isn't there to defend himself. And you can't defend a position of pre-mortality, the whole war in heaven. We have no evidence to refer to with that. Just because people say that it happened is hearsay. There are no actual first-hand witnesses, as our minds are blank regarding that. And so it's useless to argue religion. You can argue what the religion of the Egyptians were, and whether that influenced current religions, but you can't argue the religion itself as to whether it's true or false. It just can't be done. That's why religion bashing, not Bible bashing, because you can bash somebody for their ignorance on the Bible. That's easy to do. But a religion's religion, their gospel, you just can't argue that unless you have a standard where they say, well, our religion comes from the Egyptians, and therefore the Egyptians is our religion. Okay, well, the Egyptian religion is this, and you're this. You're not the same. Now you can argue. And so the Mormons claim to be a restored religion. Thus you can argue, no, your religion is not the Egyptian religion that you guys are supposed to be. So, yeah. Big difference in how it's done. But associates. That's who Judge Kimball was. That's who Mark Shurtleff was. And that's who Mayor Ron Bigelow is. That's who Bishop Reed Hammond, who got the whole ball rolling after I got out. They should have left me alone. I had been punished after losing. 6 years, disappeared from society. They erased my comments in the Deseret News. They destroyed me financially. They destroyed my character. They destroyed my name. They destroyed everything about me. And yet they still keep coming. So, okay, we're going to court. Unless Trump blows the whole thing up. Because Korea is threatening to bomb America on Christmas. So, it'll depend on what the government does as to whether this lawsuit against the church, how it will proceed. So stay tuned. This is going to be fun. Alright, let's get rid of that.